Tonight, next stop, the hospital.
I seen my life go before my eyes when this happened.
Two women recount a frightening situation downtown when a bus crashed into the transit shelter they were sitting in. Also tonight.
It is the same individual, and she has made her rounds.
Winnipeg businesses speak out about a woman they say has been skipping out on hefty bills. Plus, putting the brakes on crime.
I am pleased with the numbers. They're quite frankly higher than I was anticipating.
How much less crime is being reported on city buses thanks to a new pilot program.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
A close call at a bus shelter has left two women feeling lucky to be alive tonight. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The women were sitting inside the shelter waiting for a bus when all of a sudden one came. But instead of stopping, it crashed into them. Live on Portage Avenue, where it happened tonight, is CTV's Joseph Bernacki. Joseph, are these women okay?
Marilee, they are okay, and we're going to bring you to that bus shelter. In fact, I'm standing with what's left of where normally you'd have a glass panel right here. Things certainly look a lot different. There's bits of glass strewn all about. The women that I spoke with today were treated for minor injuries and, of course, since released from the hospital. It was a frightening situation yesterday afternoon that started just after noon when a double-length accordion bus careened into close to where I'm standing. Even worse, the driver didn't stop to check if they were okay.
I turned around, all I heard was a big boom.
Winnipeg Transit riders Audrey Papanicus and Carolee Linklater believe they are lucky to be alive. They were sitting inside this bus shelter on Portage Avenue when a transit bus hit it.
I went forward and smashed against the other side of the bus shack.
Glass particles everywhere, man.
Glass shattered everywhere.
When I felt the hit on my back, that's when I looked back. And there's a big, the bus was just right beside me, the whole transit bus. I just got up right away. I got scared. Oh my God, let's go.
Papanicus says they were waiting to go to a dental appointment here on Portage Avenue and Fort Street. Just after noon, she said the two sat down in this bus shelter when a large accordion double-length transit bus smashed into them. Bits of glass went everywhere, cutting up their hands, and the pair say the transit driver drove off.
He didn't even stop. He didn't even stop to come and check on us.
The two say they quickly went to St. Boniface Hospital emergency room where their hands were treated for the bits of broken glass.
When we got to the hospital, she noticed that there was glass still in my hoodie.
Yeah,
I still have glass particles on my jacket. I have to shake it off.
A spokesperson from Winnipeg Transit confirms the women's account, saying the driver reported the incident, saying there were no injuries. Later, a report about falling glass injuring a woman came in. Winnipeg's Transit Control Center say they are investigating.
I don't even want to look at it. I just see my
PTSD.
I seen my life go before my eyes when this happened.
Linklater tells CTV News that she spoke to Winnipeg Police on Wednesday afternoon. They instructed her to make a claim with Manitoba Public Insurance. She has done so, according to Linklater at this time.
So, Joseph, what is the transit union saying about this?
This was a wild incident, Marilee. Unfortunately, the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1505 had no comment available at this time as the investigation is still ongoing.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. Putting Winnipeg police on buses and around transit stops is putting the brakes on crime. The results of a 15-week pilot project are in, and Winnipeg police say the results are positive. Standing by live with the details is CTV's John Hendricks. So, John, how much has crime dropped?
15.1%, Marilee, as compared to the same period in 2024. Police launched the Winnipeg Transit Violent Crime Intervention Strategy in mid-September of last year, and it ran until the end of December. The strategy brought an increased presence of police officers on and around the Winnipeg transit system, and it was in response to growing concerns and incidents of violence. Now, while the results are promising, the force admits that significant work still needs to be done.
The WPS is very pleased with the results of the program. I don't think it comes as a surprise that if we put additional resources and direct them to a specific problem or a specific area that we're going to achieve results. However, I am am pleased with the numbers. They're quite frankly higher than I was anticipating.
Police say the strategy directed officers from community support units and foot patrol members to place more focus throughout their day on buses and around transit corridors. In total, officers spent 143 hours riding on buses and just over 100 hours on foot at transit locations such as bus stops. They also spent 36 hours patrolling those areas in police cruisers. Police say as a result, total transit-related crimes were down 15.1% as compared to the same period in 2024. Property crimes were also down by 15.2%, and violent crime decreased by 18.2%. The vice chair of Winnipeg's police board is also commending the results, but says funding is not presently in place to make the initiative permanent.
The pilot project that WPS had, I mean, it demonstrates that there was a need for it and that it continues to be a need. Now, whether or not there are funds to have a full-time transit force through Winnipeg Police Service, that is not in place at this point in time. We do have our community safety officers doing great work on transit as well in collaboration with Winnipeg Police Service. Is there a blend of the two that would work best? I think we need to dig in and find that out.
During the pilot project, police also made 12 arrests and 98 fare evasion enforcements.
So, John, in addition to their presence, what extra measures are provided by having police on buses?
Merrily, Superintendent Brian Milner says that police officers bring different tactics and are better equipped for higher level disturbances.
All right, thanks for this, John. Manitoba's police watchdog has released its final report into the death of a man who police say killed his sister and stabbed 7 others on Hollow Water First Nation in September. That report found 26-year-old Tyrone Samard was traveling at approximately 187 kilometers an hour with his foot pressing the accelerator as far as it would go when he collided with a stopped RCMP cruiser on September 4th. It says he made no effort to avoid the crash and concludes his actions were either intentional or reckless. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt and died at the scene. An autopsy found he had significant levels of alcohol and cocaine in his system. The independent investigation unit concluded the actions of police did not cause his death and charges are not being recommended. The Mountie in the RCMP cruiser at the time of the crash was seriously injured. A 37-year-old woman is accused of stealing more than $10,000 in clothing and other items in nearly 24 shoplifting incidents last year. Take a look. These are the locations where police say those thefts took place. In some cases, hundreds of dollars of clothing was allegedly stolen from the same area on the same day. The thefts took place between May and November. A suspect was arrested Monday and is charged with theft under $5,000 as well as theft over $5,000. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. What are you tracking for us tonight, Colleen?
Not so much tonight. It's what's coming our way tomorrow. Now, March is one of those months where, you know, spring feels like it's just around the corner some days, and then there are other days when winter says not so fast. Well, an Alberta clipper is in the process of forming, and as clippers do, it will rush toward Manitoba, and it will bring some snow. I'll have more details on where it's expected to go, how much it's expected to leave behind in terms of snow, and how quickly it's going to move out. Let's take a look, though, first at the CTV Live Eye. It's brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, under that blue sky, it is minus 10 degrees, light winds out of the west-northwest. Still, the wind chill feels like minus 14. The pressure is rising, keeping the sky clear for the time being. The humidity right now, merrily, is 74%.
Thanks, Colleen. First Nation leaders are demanding an apology and stronger consumer protection laws after an Indigenous youth and his mother were booted from the hotel room they were staying at following that boy's surgery. And the tense encounter was captured on video.
Stand for him, okay?
We need a wheelchair. I can't get out of bed.
Please. Look, his knee's broken.
I don't care. You will pay or not.
You can't get off
But
the
thank
bed.
God we will take the luggage out. Are you watching? Give me doctor.
Off the bed.
In the video, which only captures 50 seconds of the interaction, a staff member can be heard yelling at the pair to pay up or leave, while also directing a security guard to take their bags outside. The family can be heard saying the boy is unable to move as he was recovering from surgery on his leg. They are from Pimachikamak Cree Nation and were staying at Canada Inns near Health Sciences Centre where the boy recovered. Chief David Monius says the family's stay was arranged by the First Nation and Inuit Health Branch. However, a bureaucratic issue caused a delay with their extension.
And instead of being met with care and basic human respect, they were met with hostility, which is unacceptable. No child should have to go through that.
He literally came at me and was pulling my pillows and trying to get me off the bed while I was in pain. I told him I could do it myself, but he didn't give us enough time. I didn't even have enough time to get my shoes. I'm still shoeless.
In an email statement, Canada Inns says it's still reviewing the incident to better understand the full context of what happened. It adds, quote, "Our employees are trained to follow established procedures when responding to safety concerns or guest conduct issues, and we expect all interactions to be handled with professionalism and respect. As part of this process, we are reviewing the circumstances leading up to the interaction to ensure our policies and procedures were followed properly." The Manitoba government is planning to set up 2 committees as part of its promise to improve health care.
Our priority is making sure that, first and foremost, we staff the front lines, we get as many nurses as possible on the front lines of our healthcare system, and that we then start doing the work as we are of making nurse-to-patient ratios a reality in Manitoba.
A bill now before the legislature would set up one group to come up with an appropriate nurse-to-patient ratio and recommend which areas of healthcare, such as intensive care units, would be subject to the numbers. Another bill would allow the health minister to set staffing and other benchmarks for health providers with the aim of ending mandatory overtime for nurses. This would allow for a committee to advise the minister on how to proceed. The opposition Progressive Conservatives say healthcare unions have raised questions about whether there are enough workers to meet the government's goals and say the government's plan is lacking details. Winnipeg businesses are speaking out tonight about a woman they say is leaving without paying. This week, Winnipeg police announced the arrest of a 31-year-old woman for allegedly skipping out on a $2,000 tab at a St. Boniface beauty salon. And as CTV's Jeff Keel found out, that woman has a history with other businesses as well as the courts.
Winnipeg police say a Marion Street beauty salon is out more than $2,000 after a customer refused to pay. They made an arrest. Police say on March 9th, 31-year-old Brooke Tanis Smith was charged with theft under $5,000. The allegations have not been tested in court.
It is the same individual, and she has made her rounds.
Cutting Loose hair design owner Tammy Dewick says they had an interaction with the woman too, and she recorded it.
So let me go look for my debit card and all my stuff. I left everything here.
In January 2025, Dewick says the woman received $75 worth of services. But when it came time to pay, she said she had to get her debit card and offered to leave a bag behind.
That bag is worth $50.
I don't care. I don't work in a pawn shop.
Dewick and her staff called police, and the door was locked, which stopped her from leaving.
Do not touch me again.
Open the door.
In the end, Dewick says they unlocked the door and let her go. Police confirmed they received a call about the incident. No arrests were made. CTV News made contact with the woman about doing an interview, and we have not heard back. The 31-year-old has a lengthy court record dating back to December 2024, with convictions for fraud under and theft under. Her picture is being shared on social media by businesses saying they've had contact with her too.
With the description, I think we had interaction with her.
Restaurant owner Don McKenzie says they've had to deal with other problem patrons who dine and dash, so he's considering a prepayment system and installing an ID scanner at the door like liquor marts.
So then you know who is in the building, who's here, and at all times. So.
In a sign of the times, Tammy Dewick says their doors are locked at 5 p.m. for safety. They've put up security cameras and are also mulling a pay-up-front plan too.
85% of the people that come in the door, we do know and have repeat clients, but it's that 15% that you just don't know.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg police say a Marion Street beauty salon is out more than $2,000. Safety concerns downtown have prompted several unions to form a coalition calling for increased safety measures. The Workers for Downtown Public Safety Coalition is made up of 7 unions representing transit, emergency services, retail, and other sectors. It's finalizing a 5-point plan, which it says, if implemented, would make downtown safer. The plan prioritizes expanding mental health and addiction supports while also enhancing protections for workers facing violence.
We are calling on a meeting with the mayor. We're calling on a meeting with the justice minister. And we do have a list of requests and demands, and we are consulting with experts in the field of where they've produced tangible results.
A statement from the mayor's office says it has not yet received a request for a meeting, but action is already being taken to make downtown safer. A spokesperson for the justice minister says his office is in discussions to meet with the coalition next week. The Louis Riel School Division is upping its new budget by 3% to approximately $282 million. And for homeowners, that means taxes are going up by 10%. The board says the budget focuses on classroom support while keeping essential services and student programs in place. The hope is this will eliminate the division's deficit. We're told community input helped shape the plan, with families and staff prioritizing class sizes, student supports, mental health, and aging infrastructure. Coming up, an economic crisis is brewing as the Iran war drags on.
Your countries will be making 400 million barrels of oil available.
Why an effort to release oil reserves hoping to undo lasting damage. That story when we return. New numbers show a significant amount of older Canadians are struggling financially. A survey from the National Institute on Aging found 20% of Canadians over the age of 50 struggle to afford essential goods and services. 18% of older Canadians can't afford a $500 expense. Researchers say financial struggles can have a negative impact on health, independence, and quality of life. Turning to the markets now, crude oil jumped $3.80. The loonie slipped to 73.60 cents U.S. Gold futures lost $63. The TSX fell 150 points. The Dow Jones dropped 289 points, while the Nasdaq added 19 points. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been paid out in claims under the Jordan Principle class action settlement. 1 year after the first claims period opened, the Assembly of First Nations says more than 136,000 claims have been received and $354 million has been paid out. More than $23 billion has been set aside for the settlement. It provides compensation to First Nation individuals who were removed from their homes by child and welfare authorities between 1991 and 2022, when the child or one caregiver was living on reserve. Claimants over the age of majority have until March 10th, 2028 to submit a claim. Those under 18 have 3 years from the day they reach the age of majority to submit one. The war in Iran is fast becoming an economic crisis, and it's all about oil and shipping. Iran is targeting vessels in the critical Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping route for 20% of the world's oil. And the U.S. president is now threatening Iran with harsher punishment if it continues to target global oil and shipping. CTV's Joy Melvin reports.
New video from Central Command shows the U.S. blowing up Iranian vessels suspected of laying mines near the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran has effectively closed the shipping lane, attacking more than a dozen oil tankers trying to pass, choking off the world's lifeline for oil, and sending energy prices soaring, triggering the largest release of emergency reserves thanks to oil-rich nations.
Your countries will be making 400 million barrels of oil available. I repeat, 400 million barrels of oil.
Canada helping to offset global shortages too.
Canada will do its part to contribute to the world's supply. That will bring prices down for Canadians. That will keep prices affordable for Canadians.
With the U.S. and Israel targeting Iranian military sites, and Iran retaliating with a new wave of missile and drone attacks, President Donald Trump telling reporters,
right now,
They've lost their Navy, they've lost their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft apparatus at all. They have no radar. Their leaders are gone. And we could do a lot worse.
The president promising to hit harder, but also saying the war is pretty much over.
Which is it? Is the war ending soon, or are we on the brink of the worst fighting yet?
Mixed messaging from Washington isn't going over well. Key Trump supporters like Joe Rogan publicly criticizing the war as a betrayal.
He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
With the new supreme leader, Iran insists it alone will decide the war's end, as the FBI now warns sympathizers or proxies could try to launch attacks on U.S. soil. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
And the war will affect the World Cup. Iran's sport minister says Iran will not play in a country that launched a war. Iran was scheduled to play 3 games in the U.S. this summer. The United States, Mexico, and Canada are hosting the World Cup beginning June 11th. After 3 shootings at synagogues in the Greater Toronto area over the span of a week, the federal government is promising new funds to support security precautions at Jewish community spaces.
As a government, we must respond. So today, I'm announcing a $10 million investment in the Canada Community Security Program, the CCSP, to assist the Jewish community in enhancing security at its institutions. This includes synagogues, community centers, schools, daycares, and overnight camps. What's required in this moment, where the world may be going through very difficult challenges, is for Canadians to come together and to ensure primarily the safety and security of its citizens.
Nobody was injured in the synagogue shootings, and no arrests have been made. They remain under investigation, though, as does yesterday morning's shooting at the U.S. consulate on University Avenue. The U.S. Secret Service is investigating after a vehicle crashed into a barricade near the White House early this morning. The driver of the car is now being questioned. D.C. police say no one was hurt. U.S. President Donald Trump was thought to be in the White House at the time of the crash. Various entrances and streets around the White House are temporarily closed as this investigation continues. Manitoba has more than half of the measles cases confirmed in Canada this year, and a Manitoba student has developed a site where you can keep track of the current outbreak.
You just click the exposure timeline button here, and we can follow the timeline of exposures.
An exposure timeline is just one of the functions available on the Manitoba Measles map. It was created by RRC Polytech student Jack Buckholzer as a way to visualize exposure sites in each region of our province using data directly from Manitoba Health.
And then I overlaid the vaccination data, which was also provided on the same page, which you can see the different areas where there's more exposures and how it correlates to the vaccination coverage.
The data on the site automatically updates from the province's sources when available. You can access the website at manitobameaslesmap.com.
The value could be up to about $400 million.
He's just been released from jail, but the mystery endures. What happened to the gold treasure hunter Tommy Thompson found at the bottom of the ocean and ended up landing him a decade in prison?
The long-range forecast for Winnipeg starts off on Friday with increasing clouds. Still a little cool, -9. Normal high now is closer to -2. Up to -7 on Saturday. Mix of sun and cloud, just -11 on Sunday. Also under a mix of sun and cloud, but it's really more those overnight lows catching my attention. As cold as -25 on Sunday night. Sunshine on Monday, -11. And leaping leprechauns. It is St. Patrick's Day on Tuesday. A high of -6 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
A dream come true. That's how Winnipegger Matt Dunstone describes his thrilling Brier win over the weekend, now that it's had some time to sink in.
It's a surreal moment. You know, ever since I started curling when 5, 6 years old, understood what the Brier was. That was everything I ever wanted. And Sunday was, you know, just being able to see a dream come true in real time, and feel very fortunate and lucky to have been able to make that happen.
Dunstone says the win was even sweeter after making it to the finals 3 times in the past 4 years and having lost the Olympic trials final just last year. His rink from Granite Curling Club beat 4-time champion Kevin Cooey from Alberta to claim the title. They lost to Cooey twice in the lead up to the final, which Dunstone says actually made them more confident.
Again, you could just kind of tell and feel that the team was in a really good place. We were doing a lot of good things. Obviously, we, you know, coming off a win against the reigning Olympic gold medalists of a month ago in the semifinal is one way to make you feel really confident going into that final, obviously. And you know, that team Cooey had beaten us twice earlier in the week, and it's in curling, it's hard to beat teams 3 times in a row. And yeah, we were feeling really good going into that final.
But the work isn't over yet. Dunstone and company now need to prepare to represent Canada at the LGT World Men's Curling Championship in Utah, which kicks off later this month. He'll also be returning to the Brier next year as defending champion. Some University of Manitoba history students put down their books and picked up an apron today for a lesson which took them back in time.
Instead of using a lot of sugar, it substitutes maple syrup.
History professor Sarah Alvins hosted a cooking session at the Food Matters Research Cluster. The students used a General Mills recipe book from the 1940s to explore the clever substitutions used by people living in the Second World War era when items weren't always readily available during rationing. Alvins says this helps students imagine the past in a different way.
Cooking history and food history is a really good way to access social history, to think about how ordinary people's lives and experiences were, and to really make history come alive.
Alvin says some of the food recreated today is tasty but different from what we're used to, and that's all part of the learning experience. The recipes included a chocolate cake with no eggs, sugar-free orange drop cookies, and meatless sausage patty.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your Skywatch forecast and some snow she's tracking.
Well, it looks like it, courtesy of an Alberta clipper that is in the process of forming. And as clippers do, it's expected to zip along through Saskatchewan and into Manitoba. So the forecast models all agree that snow is heading southern Manitoba's way, a high likelihood of it. Where they tend to disagree, though, is with respect to the timing. I'll show you that coming up. But fairly clear start to this night. Up in the north, even clearer still. But also, too, there are no cold warnings in effect for northern Manitoba tonight. So that bitterly cold Arctic air mass that had locked its grip, especially on the most northern regions of the province, has finally loosened that grip enough to end those warnings there. Further east into northwestern Ontario, clear start to the night. You can see winds coming at a pretty good clip through the Kenora area, little lighter winds through Dryden coming out of the northwest. And again, not much happens tonight in the south. In the north, a disturbance starts to move in. That will bring snow. Some areas like Lynn Lake could see as much as 5 centimeters, and it will start to spread east and south as well. Other areas will pick up a few centimeters along the way as this disturbance moves through. Thompson could get about 5 centimeters as well into tomorrow. Meanwhile, down here in the south, not much happens. Now, we did have that little bit of snow that came through Winnipeg yesterday evening. Could see a repeat of that in other areas, more so off to the southwest, but there's not much to it. It's this that we're keeping our eyes peeled on. This is the snow and various forms of precipitation associated with that clipper. It moves across Saskatchewan fairly quickly. Now, some models have snow getting to Winnipeg and the Red River Valley as early as the noon hour, but you can see the future cast has it a little slower than that. So that is where the tricky part of it when it comes in with the forecasting is with respect to the timing, but it does look like there will certainly be snow. It's just a matter of when. Winds will also be very strong too. We'll have more northerly winds coming into Brandon, more southeasterly winds coming into Winnipeg. So as the snow falls, it will also be blowing around as well. Forecast amounts generally have us at about 2 to 4 centimeters during the day tomorrow and similar amounts tomorrow night. It moves on out, kind of skims parts of northwestern Ontario as well, but with not much left over there. Even before that snow gets to the Manitoba-Ontario border, there won't be much left over. Overnight, you can see we go into Friday, still pretty clear. Much further north of that zone area where we'll see that snow come through. We get into a Friday afternoon, you can see a little bit more of the light stuff. A few flurries pops in to west central regions, but not much of note. For tonight, down to minus 15 degrees, partly cloudy, light winds out of the south at 10 kilometers an hour. Now, tomorrow morning for the commute, should be a mix of sun and cloud, up to minus 10, winds out of the south at 15 kilometers an hour. It's just when in the afternoon will that snow arrive? When it does, southeast winds pick up. 2 to 4 centimeters is forecast, up to minus 1. Up in the northeast tonight, clear and cold as minus 30 for Gillam. Thompson will see clouds overnight, down to minus 23. Snow moves in there, about 5 centimeters worth. Snow will move further into the northeast as well throughout the course of the day tomorrow. Some snow moves in tonight through Lynn Lake, Flin Flon, OCN and the Paw. Not for Norway House, clear there, but that snow catches up tomorrow. Flurries for Flin Flon and the Paw tomorrow, up to around minus 6. In the southwest tonight, a few clouds. Brandon down to minus 10, minus 13 for Dauphin. Swan River clouding over overnight. That snow moving in tomorrow for most areas, Brandon and Dauphin included, should hit a high around minus 3, but watch out for blowing snow too. Winnipeg in the southeast, varying amounts of cloud tonight, down to minus 15 here in the city, and then that snow moves into most but not all areas tomorrow, with highs close to the freezing mark. And in northwestern Ontario, a few clouds at most tonight, and then sunshine for Kenora and Dryden. Fort Francis will get cloudy in the afternoon. Our first weather photo takes us out to Warren, Manitoba. That's a very cool wintry shot there from Corinne. And this next one's pretty cool too. Now, this is from Gord. He was in his school bus waiting to pick up the kids between Portage La Prairie and St. Claude when he spotted that frost-lined stop sign. Very cool. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. A world-famous treasure hunter has been released from prison after a decades-long controversy. At issue, the location of hundreds of gold coins off the coast of South Carolina. Here's Lionel Moyes.
We were looking for the richest shipwreck lost for a century.
He was the subject of the Nat Geo documentary Cursed Gold, A Shipwreck Scandal. And now treasure hunter Tommy Thompson is a free man, released from prison yesterday after a decades-long mystery.
Tommy, where are the coins? Can't help you.
Thompson and his crew struck gold in the late 1980s using a submersible to scan the ocean floor off South Carolina. His team finding the wreckage of the USS Central America, which sank in 1857 with 21 tons of gold on board. They found gold bars and lots of coins. Thompson spoke to our Sam Donaldson at the time.
What's the cash value?
We estimate that the value could be up to about $400 million.
The team seen here bringing gold off the ship.
Nemo is that unmanned device that went down to the bottom.
That's correct, and it's specially designed so that we can bring up treasures.
But scandal soon followed. Investors accused Thompson of cheating them out of proceeds from the sale of part of the treasure, 500 gold coins worth an estimated $50 million. Thompson later spent years on the run until his arrest in Florida in 2015.
Tommy Thompson utilized a lot of different techniques to try to evade capture, multiple aliases.
He was held in contempt and spent more than a decade in prison for refusing to answer questions about the location of the coins. He insisted they were turned over to a trust, saying money from the sale went to legal fees and bank loans. Thompson is now a free man after serving time for skipping a court hearing, but the fate of those 500 gold coins remains unclear. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
Canadians continue to report strange lights in the sky. Coming up, I chat with a local UFO expert about how many of those cases defy explanation and how AI might help us understand what's going on. That's after the break. Barack Obama thinks they're real. Donald Trump is releasing files about them. And 1 in 10 Canadians think they've seen one. UFO speculation is everywhere. And according to the latest UFO survey, more than 1,000 sightings were reported here in Canada last year. Joining me now to talk more about what's going on in our skies is Chris Rakowski, Canada's top UFO expert. Chris, great to speak with you.
Good to see you again, Marilee.
1,052 UFO reports last year. How many of those can't be explained away?
Well, only a relatively small fraction, 3.5% or so. That amounts to about 36 cases out of the more than 1,000 reported last year. And those don't mean aliens were responsible. It simply means those are cases that we're not sure what they were. They didn't seem to be airplanes or stars or planets or satellites.
You know, I know you've spent decades researching UFOs. With everything going on as of late, do you think we're getting close to confirming their existence?
Well, you know, I think most astronomers like myself believe that there are aliens out there somewhere. It's just the distances are so big and it's so hard to travel between the stars. But you never know. I mean, it's possible that aliens more advanced than us might have figured out some way to bend time in a way that we can't figure out quite yet. So it's possible, but we don't actually have the proof. And yet we have all these cases of pilots and air traffic controllers and military personnel who say they've seen things that can't be explained. And I'd like to know more about them. We hear a lot of rumors and a lot of stories, but you know, I want the facts.
A lot of us do. We're with you, Chris. You think AI tracking could help get some answers. How would it work?
Well, you know, we have a little over 1,000 cases in Canada this year, and we've been at this for more than 35 years now. We have something like 26,000 cases in Canada. And AI might make this an easier task. And well, we're looking for trends. We're looking for, is there any sign that some of these, which ones of the cases are, you know, definitely not planes and planets? Which ones are the better ones of the batch? And also that there are some institutions who are actually tracking objects in the sky. There's a Galileo project you may have heard of. That has about 1 million objects that it's tracked now. And they're actually training AI to distinguish between clouds and planes and everything else in between, to look for the ones that are a little anomalous. So AI is going to be a very good tool for sifting through all this data that we're going to be getting.
Interesting. How common are UFO sightings here in Manitoba? And what is most commonly described by those who make the reports?
Well, you know, 1 in 10 Canadians believe they've seen UFOs, so the same for Manitobans. And, you know, last year, Manitoba and Newfoundland had a few more cases than they did in 2024. Alberta and BC went down a bit, so it tends to even out. But the typical object seen in the sky and called a UFO is simply a light that to a witness doesn't look like a plane or a star, and they think it must be something different, so they'll report it. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for reports from the general public. We get reports from pilots and air traffic controllers and RCMP, but we also have to get it from the general public because there's a lot of cases out there I'm sure we haven't heard of.
Okay, my next question then is, if we do see something strange in the sky, where do we report it?
Well, other than people can report to you, I suppose.
This is true. Yeah, let me know for sure.
Absolutely. But Transport Canada accepts reports from the general population, but they can also report it to the Canadian UFO Survey because, you know, we gather cases from all across Canada, from private and official government institutions. Just a matter of getting them all.
Well, Chris, it was great speaking with you. Thanks so much for sharing all of your insight into this with us.
Thank you.
There are calls to lower the age for routine colorectal screening in Canada. Colorectal Cancer Canada wants the country to commit to lowering the screening age to 45 for average-risk Canadians.
Over the last decade, more than 18,000 Canadians under the age of 50 have been diagnosed with the disease. These are people in the prime of their lives, raising families, building careers, and contributing to their communities. And far too often, their cancers are diagnosed too late because routine screening begins too late.
Cases of the disease are rising in Canadians under the age of 50. After lung cancer, colorectal cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer deaths in both men and women in Canada. But when caught early, it's not only treatable, but curable. There's already plenty of evidence heavy drinking can lead to liver damage and increase your cancer risk. But new research suggests it may also raise the risk of brain bleeds and nerve damage. A study published in Neurology found a strong link between drinking 3 or more drinks per day and a higher risk of stroke and brain damage. In a trial of more than 1,600 adults who had a stroke, the heavier drinkers tended to be younger than lighter drinkers. Researchers say heavy drinking can lead to high blood pressure, blood vessel damage, and poor blood clotting, all of which raise bleeding risks in the brain. Experts are advising people hoping to stave off dementia to exercise their brain. One recent study linked a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline to lifelong learning. Now, this can include reading and writing, learning another language, playing chess, solving puzzles, and going to museums from childhood into retirement. The neuropsychologist who led the study says it's kind of like stretching your brain and your thinking as you use different cognitive systems.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
The musical stylings of dozens of famous artists, all brought to life by one man, when this master impressionist is bringing his unique talents to our city. Next in Spotlight.
That I put on into
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting High Valley.
Master impressionist Andre Philippe Gagnon is bringing his unique talent to Winnipeg this summer. The Master Impressionist Greatest Hits Tour is coming to Club Region Event Center on August 14th. Gagnon is set to share imitations of classic hits and share hilarious stories during his 40-year career touring the world. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at Ticketmaster.ca. A 5-time Juno Award-winning artist is going on tour across North America, and he's stopping in Winnipeg this fall.
I'm lost in the light. I pray for the night.
Afi Yirvanen, also known as Bahamas, is coming to Burton Cummings Theatre on September 25th with his band. The singer-songwriter and guitarist is celebrated for his laid-back indie folk music and guitar riffs. The tour is in support of his latest studio album, which was recently nominated for a Juno Award for Best Adult Alternative Album of the Year. Tickets go on sale Friday at livenation.com. A Made in Manitoba black curling comedy is about to make its debut, and we're getting a peek behind the curtain about what went into its creation.
You could kind of see with curling, it's prime time. It's on all media, just like hockey and just like basketball. So deep down inside, I was like, you know what? Let's add some Caribbean culture to it, some black culture, and then Cool Sweepings was born.
Now, as the name suggests, the show takes inspiration from the classic John Candy movie Cool Runnings, about a Jamaican bobsled team. However, Cool Sweepings follows a group of Jamaican Canadians as they try to make enough money by winning bonspiels to save a local curling rink. Lead actor Joshua Calder says curling was not a big part of his life prior to the show, and at first he wasn't sure whether he would click with the role.
It was hectic at first, I thought the roles weren't going to fit me, but then going in, I was like, this character is really like me. Like, we have the same kind of personality, the same groove, the same swagger. So everything flew into just making it was really calming.
Show producer Chris Sharp says there's plenty of opportunity for more seasons as we watch the group go pro. Cool Sweepings is set to make its debut on Bell 5 TV sometime this spring. Bell is the parent company of CTV News. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with The Masked Singer. Fear Factor House of Fear comes next at 8. Shark Tank is next at 9. And the new season of Scrubs is back at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Very quick look at the almanac. -9, the highest temperature today. -2 is the normal high. The record for this day, 12.8 degrees back in 2012. Partly cloudy tonight, down to -15, up to 0 or -1 on Thursday. Snow arriving at some point tomorrow afternoon. Cloudy on Friday. A little colder but brighter on the weekend. And then it doesn't look like we'll get a little warmer until St. Patty's Day next Tuesday.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, this may be the perfect stroller for your baby if they have a need for speed.
Yeah, we've got a sporty look, but still a really functional product that's going to work hard for parents, but in a fashion that sort of stands out from the crowd and is a little bit different.
Yeah, you read that right. Lamborghini and the British stroller company Silver Cross have collaborated to create this stroller, and it is turning heads at the baby show in London this week, especially amongst car lovers.
Yeah.
It is the most expensive pram at the show. Any guesses at how much it is?
I have no idea.
$7,000.
Wow. Well, maybe that's one way to afford a Lambo.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes.
Lucky baby.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, that does it for us tonight. Have a good one. We'll see you back here tomorrow.